The fact that I, Caleb Shaw, had publicly totaled Victoria Vance's car became a #1 trending topic on Twitter, stunning the entire internet. The hate came pouring in. Everyone demanded I apologize to Tori. Leo Nash, another actor with my same nice guy brand, fanned the flames with a public comment. OMG, is the car okay? Poor Tori, that was a limited edition. I let out a cold laugh, then simply turned my phone off. Minutes later, I was heading upstate, back to my modern farmhouse in the Catskills for a much-needed escape. An apology? Right? Not in this lifetime. New York City nights always throb with a kind of glittering, insatiable desire. Sitting in the back of the town car, I was scrolling through my phone out of habit when a headline from a gossip site caught my eye. Socialite Victoria Vance's late-night rendezvous with mystery man. In the photo, a man and woman were locked in an intimate kiss in the driver's seat of a car. The car, a limited edition red Ferrari, gleamed under the neon lights of a nightclub entrance. The woman in the picture was straddling the man's lap, showing only a cascade of dark, glossy curls and a slender waist. It was a silhouette I knew better than my own. My breath caught in my throat. I zoomed in. On the hand wrapped around the man's neck was the exact watch I'd given Tori for our anniversary. It was her. It was really her. The same Tori I'd been in a secret 4-year relationship with. The same Tori who once told me she loved cooking for me more than any gala. Fighting to control my ragged breathing, I shakily called her. The phone rang and rang, unanswered. I took a deep, steadying breath, trying to calm the storm in my chest. Mr. Henderson, turn around. We're going to Aura. Aura was the club in the picture. There are 2 things I can't stand in this world. The first is domestic abuse. The second is cheating. Tori and I grew up in the same planned community for government families down in Virginia. She moved there with her parents when she was 12. I lived with my grandfather until I was 18, only leaving for college. We reconnected my sophomore year. She was the one who pursued me. I figured we had history. We knew each other's roots. We were practically childhood sweethearts. I could never forget the image of her in a little sundress, chasing after me, calling my name. I never, ever thought she would cheat. Life has a way of proving you wrong. Maybe I've been playing the role of the gentle, understanding good guy in Hollywood for too long. She must have forgotten what I was like back in the day, the kind of hell I used to raise in our old neighborhood. Mr. Henderson drove with a smooth, swift confidence. In less than half an hour, we were parked a block away from Aura. In that time, Tori had texted back. In a meeting with a client. Can't talk. What kind of client meets at midnight? I didn't even bother to call her on the lie. In front of the club, I spotted it immediately, the red Ferrari. It was her favorite car, one she barely drove because she was so scared of scratching it. And she'd taken it out for a date with him. A sneer touched my lips. I pulled on a mask and sunglasses, then popped the trunk. In front of a bewildered Mr. Henderson, I pulled out a reinforced aluminum bat. Heavy-duty alloy. $250 on Amazon. Head down, I dragged the bat toward the supercar, the metal tip scraping against the asphalt with a dry, screeching sound. 1 swing. 2. 3. The massive crunch of impact mixed with the car's screaming alarm, making my eardrums ache. So damn loud. A surge of pure rage coursed through me. With the final swing, I put every ounce of strength I had into it. The entire driver's side door caved in. I shook out my hand and let out a long, shuddering breath. Staring at the mangled, pockmarked luxury car, I thought perfect. A perfect work of art, created by me. I pulled my baseball cap lower and slung the bat over my shoulder. Just as the club security guards burst out onto the sidewalk, I dove back into the car. Mr. Henderson hit it. Head for the Catskills. He just nodded, then slammed his foot on the gas. You got it. I could already picture tomorrow's headlines. Shocking. A-list actor Caleb Shaw's midnight rampage. A psychological breakdown or a moral collapse. I sent a few texts. One to my agent, telling him I was taking a few days off and not to worry about the rest. After a long pause, I sent one to Tori. 2 words. We're done. Then I blocked her number, her social media, everything. The final step. Phone off. If I didn't engage with the outside world, nobody could hurt me. The car wound its way up the twisting mountain roads. My place was a modern farmhouse built into the mountainside. After our old community in Virginia was redeveloped, our families were given compensation, and my grandfather bought this plot. Over the years, our neighbors did the same, and gradually this whole area became a sort of hidden, scenic enclave. Mr. Henderson dropped me at the gate and drove off. I walked into the courtyard. Following a path of crushed stone over a small, winding bridge, I passed all sorts of exotic flowers and plants before entering the sleek, wooden glass house. I poured myself a glass of small batch bourbon and sank comfortably into the chaise lounge. I picked up my iPad, still logged into the Twitter account I'd forgotten to sign out of. Notifications were exploding on the screen. I tapped on it and gave it a quick scroll. WTF is happening? Is this really the same guy who's known as Hollywood's biggest sweetheart? I knew it was all an act. TSK, TSK. Caleb Shaw can just wait to be blacklisted by the Van Cess. He went way too far. Tori is so beautiful and kind. She didn't deserve this. Seriously, what an animal. Caleb Shaw, get out here and apologize. Apologize. But the one that surprised me most was from Leo Nash. OMG, is the car okay? Poor Tori, that was a limited edition. He kicked the hornet's nest, and the swarm came for me. Leo and I were both known for our good guy image, and his fans worshipped him. Add to that Tori's flawless public reputation, and the two fan bases joined forces. My mentions were a war zone. Soon, the hashtag when will Caleb apologize was trending. My DMs were a solid wall of demands. An apology? Not a chance. I powered down the iPad, too, leaving the trolls to their pathetic howling. I took a sip of bourbon to calm my nerves. The moment my bat hit that Ferrari, I was already prepared to walk away from my career. Even though Tori and I grew up together, there was always a massive gulf between us. She was a New York heiress, born into a world that revered her. Back then, I didn't even know what luxury brands were. I had no head for business. The only thing I had going for me was my face. 3 years ago, I'd thrown myself into acting on pure ambition. I believed I could make it on my own merit, which is why we never went public with our relationship. I worked my ass off, a diligent grinder, only to be played like a fiddle by my own agency. My career stagnated, constantly suppressed until I could barely breathe. It was only recently that I figured out why they'd pushed the nice guy persona on me so hard. It was to make me a foil for Leo Nash, to generate buzz and headlines for him. That explained all the who wore it better articles and the constant comparisons. They were setting me up to be his stepping stone all along. I took another sip of bourbon and crossed my legs. Screw it. I'm out. Let someone else have the part. It was getting late. I took a long, hot shower, put on a face mask, and finally collapsed onto my massive bed. The soft duvet enveloped me completely. I must have been exhausted because I was out like a light, dead to the world. What woke me up the next morning wasn't the cheerful chirping of birds. It was some inconsiderate jackass shouting at 7 in the morning. And they were shouting right outside my property. Wow, this place is gorgeous. Yeah, way better than the house we're staying in. It has a garden and a koi pond. Can we go in and look? That sycamore tree is huge. Probably tourists, I thought, but the voice sounded familiar. I threw on a robe and went to see what the commotion was. Of course you can. The gate's probably unlocked. Just push it open. This time, I heard it clearly. The speaker was Kevin Miller, a guy from my old neighborhood in Virginia. We've been rivals since we were kids. Whatever I had, he wanted. He was the one who got the other kids to exclude me. When the hell did he get the authority to invite people into my house? Back in Virginia, nobody locked their doors. We all knew each other. Theft wasn't even a thought. I'd kept that habit, sometimes leaving the courtyard gate unlocked, though the main house was always secure. I stepped outside, just as they were about to come in. A dozen pairs of eyes snapped toward me. Several large, black cameras swung in my direction. My mistake. They were filming a reality show. Leo Nash was the first to react, covering his mouth in mock surprise. Caleb, what are you doing here? At that moment, Kevin Miller's hand was already on my gate. I ignored Leo and fixed my gaze on Kevin. You take one more step, and I'm calling the cops. Kevin frowned, annoyed. Come on, we're all friends here. What's the big deal if we take a look? I raised an eyebrow. Did you call ahead? My vision is pretty good. I caught a glimpse of a screen one of the crew was holding, with comments scrolling by. What's with Caleb's attitude? He's being such a jerk. So much for the nice guy. He's nothing compared to our Leo. Exactly. Always trying to ride Leo's coattails for fame. A fake is a fake. The mask is finally slipping. Wait, wasn't it that Kevin guy who wanted to barge in on his own? The one comment, defending me, was instantly buried under an avalanche of hate. This wasn't a pre-recorded show. It was a live stream. It was called The Real View. I was supposed to be the guest, but Leo Nash had somehow snatched the spot from me. The director, seeing the viewer count skyrocketing, deliberately kept the cameras trained on me. I had just rolled out of bed, wearing nothing but a thin robe, not even having washed my face. Leo suddenly stepped forward. Okay, our bad for not calling first. But we're here now. Aren't you going to welcome your guests, Caleb? He smiled, winking playfully. The live chat went wild with people calling him cute. I felt like I'd swallowed a bug. No, since I was already planning to quit, I wasn't about to coddle anyone. Leo's perfectly crafted expression cracked, probably not expecting such a blunt rejection. Director, I said, a sly smile playing on my lips. You know, there's a fee for filming me. $10,000 a minute. The live chat exploded again. Is Caleb insane? Does he know who that director is? Warren Price is probably about to have a stroke. Tisk TSK. First he pisses off an heiress. Now he's provoking a legendary director. Caleb Shaw really has a death wish. Speaking of which, when is Caleb going to apologize? Of course I knew who the director was. Warren Price. He directed several films that got international award nominations. Nominations, mind you, never a win. Now that he was older, he saw more money in reality TV and made the switch. He'd asked me to meet up privately several times, invitations I had firmly declined. I could see the malice in his eyes now. Even in this situation, Leo managed to speak to me with a saccharine sweetness. Caleb, meeting like this is fate. I sincerely invite you to be our special guest for this episode. How about it? I'd seen Warren Price give Leo a subtle look just now. Those two were definitely cooking up some fresh bullshit. Kevin Miller crossed his arms, glaring at me. Leo's being so nice about it. What more do you want, Shaw? You're sure you want to invite me? I cracked my knuckles, flashing Leo a grin that was anything but friendly. They'd thrown down the gauntlet. I had no reason to back down. Leo nodded confidently. Of course. I raised an eyebrow and descended the steps like a king. I pulled the gate open myself and made a grand, inviting gesture. Well then, please, come on in. Once you're in, getting out won't be so easy. Someone must have paid for bots to trash me online. Otherwise, there's no way I would have become public enemy #1 overnight. The group spent the next hour wandering around my property. Frankly, I don't know what was so fascinating. By the time they emerged, my garden was a mess and my koi pond was in disarray. Naturally, the cameras avoided filming any of the damage. The bots in the live chat just kept spamming about how handsome Leo was and how talented the other cast member, Dylan Croft, was. When they'd had their fill, the group looked ready to just pack up and leave. Hold on, I said, nonchalantly picking at my nails. You can go, but you're paying for the damages first. The color drained from Kevin Miller's face. What money? Of course he was panicking. He was the poorest one there. The only reason he was on the show was because his family was the only one in the area willing to lend their property for filming. For free. I pointed a finger at the rare orchid pinned to Leo's shirt. That plant is $7 grand. It had 3 blooms. Friendship price, $3 grand a pop. Leo accidentally shattered 2 of my teacups. 3 fish in the pond are dead. A quarter of the flowers in the backyard are trampled, and your camera crew dragging their equipment around has ruined half my lawn. I listed off every infraction I'd seen on my security feed. I'll give you a discount. Total comes to $235,000. Who's paying? I scanned the faces of everyone present. Only Kevin, who couldn't tell a weed from a prize-winning orchid, had the gall to argue. Shaw, are you out of your mind? A few stupid plants aren't worth that much. I had to admire his stupidity. No one else there was blind, especially not Leo, who had a knack for gravitating toward the most expensive things in any room. I refused to believe they didn't know the value of what they destroyed. Leo's eyes immediately welled up, making him look pitiful and wronged. Caleb, I didn't mean to break the cups. Really, I had no patience for his excuses. I pulled out my phone and played the security footage for everyone to see. I ignored the dozens of missed calls and messages blowing up my screen. I fast-forwarded through the clips. Leo scooping a fish out of the pond and then accidentally forgetting to put it back, the cast laughing as they stomped through the backyard flower beds. Them picking a bouquet of rare flowers only to discard it moments later. No way. Is this video deep-faked? Leo would never do something like that. Watching that poor fish struggling on the pavement is actually making me sick. Fake, this has to be fake. Watching the comments scroll by, I smiled with satisfaction. See? The tables can turn pretty quickly. Leo's face went pale, tears glistening in his eyes, threatening to fall. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, little fish. I'm sorry, flowers. I really didn't mean to. Leo's entire brand was built on being a gentle, tragically beautiful soul. Combined with his delicate features, this performance sent the comments section into another frenzy. Leo, stop crying. It's breaking my heart. Why is Caleb pushing him like this? He already apologized. Leo is so kind. He said it wasn't on purpose. Caleb is toxic. Toxic? I was completely baffled. What I do that was so toxic? I was simply demanding fair compensation for my property. What was he even putting on a show for? What did I push him to do? No wonder they say the crying baby gets the milk. I impatiently cleaned out my ear. Shut up. Who's paying for this? If no one steps up, I'm calling the police. Caleb, we all grew up in the same neighborhood. Do you have to make things so ugly? Kevin actually had the nerve to question me. I took a slow breath. When we were kids, I accidentally pulled a loose thread on your shirt, and you made me pay you 20 bucks. Remember that? When you led the other kids in ostracizing me, making up rhymes about how I was an orphan. Did you remember we were from the same neighborhood then? When you were spreading rumors about me all over school, did you remember we were from the same neighborhood then? I just stared at him, genuinely confused as to how someone could live for over 2 decades without their brain developing one bit. Am I crazy, or do I actually feel kind of bad for Caleb? Bad for him? He still hasn't paid for smashing the heiress's car. He needs to clean up his own mess before he starts pointing fingers. Man, this online crowd was tough to please. Just as we reached a stalemate, a clear female voice cut through the tension from the gate. 235,000. Not a penny less. Hearing that voice, the most excited person was Leo. His eyes were still red as he artfully exposed his collarbone, the picture of a broken beauty. His voice dropped to a soft whisper. Tori, what are you doing here? The live chat went nuclear for the 3rd time. OMG, OMG, OMG. It's Tori. It's Victoria Vance. Holy crap, she's gorgeous. Like something out of a painting. I'm taking so many screenshots. Is a queen here to take down this toxic man? OMG, I'm so moved. Leo called her Tori. What is their relationship? The moment I saw her, a riot of emotions churned inside me. The girl I had loved so sincerely. How could she betray me? I wanted to scream at her, to demand answers, to tie her to my side forever. But with so many people watching, I forced it down. Hurry up. Pay me, I said, my tone turning sharp and impatient the moment she appeared. Leo bit his lip gently and ducked behind Tori. She immediately sidestepped, moving away from him and giving him a deep, meaningful look. Leo's mouth opened. He gave her an innocent glance, then lowered his head, looking utterly obedient. Caleb, you want us to pay? We'll pay. But you still haven't paid for wrecking Tori's car. I snorted, my voice dripping with sarcasm. All right is, Vance, name your price. Tori looked like she wanted to say something, but she hesitated. The look in her eyes was strangely like that of an abandoned puppy. You don't have to pay. Smash it anytime you want. Her words sent the internet into a tizzy. Why isn't she making him pay? Caleb's attitude toward her is disgusting. Is there some history between Caleb and Tori? Her gaze made me incredibly uncomfortable. Don't go soft, I told myself. A woman who's unfaithful once will be unfaithful forever. I stopped looking at her and turned my attention back to Leo and his crew. After a long, hesitant debate, Leo proposed a solution. They would all split the cost. That meant everyone present would have to cough up tens of thousands of dollars. Immediately, people started protesting. Kevin jumped up. Why should I have to pay? You're the one who did everything. Yes, seriously. Why me? Dylan Croft said with a smirk aimed at Leo. You guys didn't even include me. I sat over here drinking tea all morning. I didn't touch a thing. Dylan Croft's fans were not to be trifled with. The second they sensed trouble, they went to war with Leo's fans. Some people are just shameless, making a mistake and then trying to drag everyone else down with you. The passive-aggressive vibe is making me sick. What a coward. Can't even take responsibility for his own actions. In the end, the matter was only resolved when Tori called in a team of professional lawyers. And of course, Leo ended up paying the lion's share. When no one was looking, the way Leo glared at me was dark and terrifying. But a second later, he could flip a switch, plaster on a smile, and cozy up to Tori, calling her name sweetly. Tori completely ignored him. Besides Leo, Kevin Miller's eyes were also glued to Tori. Just a day ago, those two were acting like best buds. Now, they both wished the other would just disappear. Tori tried to approach me several times, but I dodged her every time. Eventually, I dodged my way over to Dylan Croft. Hey, thanks for earlier, Dylan said, flashing me a bright, sunny smile that showed off 2 cute canine teeth. I shrugged. It was nothing. Earlier, I had tapped him on the shoulder and warned him not to go into the backyard. That's why he'd managed to stay out of trouble and didn't have to pay a dime. As I was talking to Dylan, I suddenly felt a chill run down my spine. I turned to see Tori staring at me, her expression unreadable. I knew her too well. That was her I'm not happy look. What did she have to be unhappy about? She was the one who cheated. Leo invited Tori to be a guest on the show. For reasons I couldn't fathom, she actually agreed. A swarm of internet users immediately started shipping them as a couple, convinced she was only staying for Leo. None of that was my problem anymore. I had my money, and I was ready to get the hell out of there. But that director, Warren Price, wasn't about to let me go. I was a magnet for drama and ratings. He'd never let me walk away. And so, I was forcibly roped into the cast. How does Caleb have the nerve to stay? Didn't you see? The production team basically forced him to. LMAO, people are actually defending Caleb now. To the person above, you're probably just another one of Leo's stands, right? After the incident in my yard, quite a few viewers had started to see things differently. At the end of the day, all I'd done was smash Tori's car. I hadn't committed some heinous crime. It was just that Leo's fan base, combined with the bots hired by my agency, was so massive that public opinion had temporarily swayed in their favor. But not everyone is an idiot. Some people were starting to see that something wasn't right. My agent had been blowing up my phone, sending threatening messages. I didn't want to deal with it, so I turned it off again. The next morning, they dragged me to a peach orchard on the back of the mountain to pick peaches. I was half asleep, barely managing to slap on some sunscreen before heading out. This orchard only existed because Tori and I had convinced the old-timers from our community to plant it years ago. Later, through a ton of promotion and live stream sales, the orchard finally started turning a profit. As soon as we arrived, the old man who managed the orchard recognized Tori and me. His eyes lit up. "Vivi, Cal, it's been too long." To everyone's surprise, Tori responded in a warm, familiar tone. "Can't be helped, Uncle Pete. Work's been crazy. What's going on? Is the heiress friends with this old farmer?" "OMG, her nickname is Vivi." "Wait, did you guys not notice? The old man called Kayla Cal too. I found it. Caleb, Tori, and Kevin all grew up in the same government community in Virginia. Caleb's parents were both in the military. They died in the line of duty." The comments flew by as everyone reeled from the revelation that Tori and I knew each other. But that didn't stop Leo from targeting me. The task was to pick peaches in teams of 2. "Tori, can I be on your team? Tori, let's team up." The moment the director finished speaking, Leo and Kevin spoke in unison. They glared at each other, sparks practically flying between them. Tori frowned, then replied only to Leo. "Don't call me Tori. I don't know you that well." Leo's face went white, utterly humiliated. Then, in front of everyone, Tori walked over to me. She lifted her beautiful face and smiled. "Caleb, can I be on your team?" "No, I don't team up with cheaters." I shook my head firmly, but she just pressed her lips together, refusing to give up. Shocker, Caleb actually rejected the heiress. Why does Tori look like a sad puppy right now? OMG, I see it too. Caleb, just say yes already. I can't handle her puppy dog eyes. I say why yes. Say yes. No matter what the comments said, I remained unmoved. It was Dylan Croft who broke the deadlock. "Caleb, want to team up?" "Sure." I agreed immediately. Anyone but Tori was fine with me. Tori's eyes darkened, and a faint, gloomy aura settled around her. She just stared at me in silence. I'd rarely seen her look like that. The last time was when she'd proposed to me, and I'd turned her down. Having grown up without parents, I'm terrified of making promises I'm not sure I can keep. I was afraid I couldn't give her the life she deserved, so I said no. Good thing I did. Look, she cheated after all. Thank God we didn't get married. A divorce would have been a nightmare. I walked off with Dylan. Tori was left holding an empty basket, looking a little pathetic. A pang of pain shot through my chest. For years, it was a lie to say there were no feelings left. But I couldn't afford to gamble. I couldn't afford to lose. I had no parents, and my grandfather passed away a few years ago. If Tori truly betrayed me, I'd have no family left at all. So I would not look back. The peach trees weren't tall, but they weren't short either. To make the show more dramatic, Warren Price had forbidden the use of any tools. We had to climb. For someone like me, who grew up scrambling around, climbing a tree was nothing. I was up in the branches in seconds. I sat on a thick branch, carefully selecting the ripest peaches. With a gentle twist, a peach would come loose. I tossed it down to Dylan, who caught every single one, while the others were still complaining. Our team already had a hefty harvest. Tori ended up teaming with the other quiet guy on the cast. But wherever I went, she followed. I climbed a tree, she climbed a tree, but she had no idea what she was doing. Even if she went to the gym, climbing a tree requires technique, not just strength. She was clumsy, nearly slipping several times. But her eyes were filled with a stubborn determination, dead set on competing with me. I picked peaches quickly. I'd clear an entire tree by the time she was halfway up. I'd climb down, and she'd follow. Then, as she was climbing down from one tree, the branch she stepped on suddenly snapped. Tori. The first person to react was me. The first person to lunge forward was also me. I lost. I admit it. I can't stop myself from watching her every move. Thankfully, at the last second, she managed to hug the main trunk of the tree, stopping her fall. She looked back at me and grinned, like a little general who had just won a battle. OMG, that smile is so sweet. Oh no, I'm starting to feel things. Is it just me, or am I starting to ship Tori and Caleb? Am I sick? To the person above, shipping everything will be the death of you. In the end, of course, Dylan and I won first place. As a reward, we were entitled to the most luxurious lunch. After we ate, it was break time. Tori cornered me. "Caleb, I need to talk to you." I sighed. It was better to clear the air now. Maybe then she'd give up and leave me alone. "Go ahead, I'm listening," I said, standing in front of her, looking her straight in the eye. She had dark circles under her eyes. She must not have slept well these past few days. Tori's eyes were soft and filled with emotion. "It's not what you think. The person in the car that night was my cousin." I wasn't going to fall for some lame excuse. "Proof?" Yes. I'll have her tell you herself." Tori held her phone out to me, her eyes pleading. "Wait, the vibe between these two is really weird." "What are they talking about?" "I can't hear anything. Why is the heiress acting so desperate? Does she owe him something?" Even though we were alone, there were still cameras in the room. I didn't want to air our dirty laundry in public just yet. After a moment's thought, I pushed her phone away. "Fine, I get it. You can go now." I was agitated, unable to meet her sincere gaze. I waved her off and made a hasty retreat. What I didn't see was Tori staring at my back, smiling like an idiot. Did someone put a spell on her? She looks a little crazy. +1 + 1 0086. I escaped back to my room. I took out my phone, which had been off for a day. After a moment of hesitation, I turned it on and unblocked Tori. The next second, a message from her came through. "Caleb, I'm so sorry." Then, she sent a video. I clicked on it. It was an apology video from her cousin. She explained that she'd had too much to drink a few nights before and ended up crashing at Tori's place. The next night, she wanted to take her boyfriend out and begged Tori to borrow the car. Before leaving, she grabbed a watch from Tori's jewelry box on a whim, having no idea it was a gift from me. She just thought it looked nice. At the very end, she offered me her deepest, most sincere apologies. I'd met Tori's cousin before. Their figures were about 80% similar, and they both had the same long, dark hair. When it all happened, it never once occurred to me that there could be another explanation. The dark cloud hanging over me vanished. In its place was a sharp pang of sympathy for Tori. Out of nowhere, her car gets smashed, and her boyfriend disappears. She couldn't even contact me. I could only imagine how frantic she must have been these past 2 days. I had so much I wanted to say to her, but it all boiled down to 2 words. I'm sorry, Tori. I should have trusted you more. I should have had more patience." She sent me a flood of crying emojis. "Baby, I'm the one who's sorry. I didn't take good care of you. I let you get hurt." Tori sent message after message, comforting me. And soon, even a tough guy like me found his vision blurring with tears. Ping, a Twitter notification popped up. A-list actor Caleb Shaw financed by a string of sugar daddies since high school. My face was a perfect picture of a what the hell meme. I clicked the link. Inside was a collection of photos of me getting into different luxury cars from high school through college. The men in the cars were all different. The story exploded, instantly shooting to the top of the trending list. The comments underneath were vile. People asking my price for a night, others asking for explicit videos. It was so absurd I had to laugh. I switched to my burner account and went on a rampage, tearing into every single troll I saw. The hashtag cancel Caleb Shaw was trending at #1. Tori saw the news too. She asked if I needed her to handle it. I narrowed my eyes and told her to wait. This was a huge deal. Even my aunt, who lives abroad, found out. She called me personally. I assured her I was fine and promised I'd call if I needed anything. I managed to take a nap that afternoon. When I woke up and walked out of my room, everyone was looking at me strangely. Kevin, not being a part of the industry, couldn't hide the glee in his eyes. Okay, I think Caleb is gross, but somehow this Kevin guy is even worse. He looks like the kind of bully I knew in middle school. I really want to slap him. I support this. The comments scrolled by mercilessly. I could see Kevin's face twisting in anger. The living room was uncomfortably silent. Besides Tori, only Dylan looked at me with any concern. I stretched and broke the silence. Let's play truth or dare this afternoon. Sure. Leo's eyes lit up instantly. The original plan for the afternoon was to sell peaches, but I'd changed it, and Warren Price didn't object. I grabbed an empty glass bottle. Whoever the bottle points to has to choose. I turned to the director, who had been staying out of it. Warren, want to join us? It's been proven he's a kept man. What other tricks does he have up his sleeve? No wonder he's so rich, he slept his way to the top. Tis TSK, and he pretended to be so pure. Warren glanced at the livestream comments and chuckled to himself. Sure, I'll play a few rounds with you young people. First round, it landed on one of the other cast members. We asked a few harmless questions and moved on. Second round, it pointed to Leo. I cleared my throat. Truth or dare? Leo blushed slightly, glancing toward Tori. Ikuzidare. Please log into your Twitter account right now and post the following. I was the one who collected and leaked the evidence of Caleb Shaw being kept by wealthy men. A collective gasp went through the room. Has Caleb lost his mind? What the hell is he talking about? You don't dare, do you? I smirked. There's a penalty for failing the dare, you know. Caleb, what is the meaning of this? Leo dropped the act, his expression turning venomous for the first time. I ignored him and spun the bottle again. This time, it landed on Warren Price. I choose truth, the director said, much calmer than Leo. Director Price, is it true that you have colluded with talent agencies to lure and coerce women, including minors, for your own purposes? Warren gave a weak laugh. Of course not. That's a lie. My voice was laced with anger. You failed the task, Warren. You have to accept the penalty. I raised my voice. Next round. Warren was visibly panicking now. Turn them off. Stop the live stream. I'd like to see who dares. Tori's voice cut through the air like a whip. Everyone froze. The only thing still moving was the glass bottle, spinning on the table. As fate would have it, it came to a stop pointing directly at Kevin Miller. Dare. I choose dare. Kevin was fidgeting, already angling his body toward the door, looking for an escape. I let out a dismissive scoff. Take off all your clothes and run a lap outside. What did you say? Kevin's eyes bulged, looking like he wanted to skin me alive. I stood up, brushing imaginary dust off my clothes. This is boring. No one's following the rules. I'm done playing. I put my hand behind my back and slowly ambled toward the door. I'm done. I'm going home. OMG. Check Twitter. It's going crazy. The photos from my high school years had come from Kevin Miller. The ones from college were leaked by my own agency. Leo was the one who paid someone to release them anonymously. I laid out all the evidence I had exposing their scheme. I also found proof of Leo's tax evasion, his arrangements with financial backers, and his history of bullying in middle school. Warren Price's crimes were far more complex and far-reaching. I only exposed the tip of the iceberg. The rest was beyond my scope. But what I did release was enough to ensure he would spend the rest of his life in prison with no chance of parole. Slandering the family of a deceased military service member is a federal crime. Kevin was sentenced to a year in prison. Leo got 8 years and was ordered to pay hefty compensation to both me and the families of the students he bullied. As for my corrupt agency, it faced bankruptcy. Naturally, the rumors about me being a kept man were debunked. The cars in high school belonged to my aunt. The ones in college were Tori's. Avellini, the parent company of the brand they twisted, was just a subsidiary of the international luxury conglomerate YLV. My aunt was YLV's founder. She publicly clarified everything on her Twitter account. My only nephew, a Caleb Shaw. During his high school years, I was still living in the States. I could certainly afford a few cars. Avellini, the brand, can also be pronounced Avelin. It was my 18th birthday gift to him. And after getting my permission, Tori made her own grand announcement on Twitter. The one and only love of my life since we were just kids. At Caleb Shaw. The comment section was flooded with blessings and congratulations. Tori was practically glowing as she read through them all. In the end, I did quit acting, focusing all my energy on managing Avellini. Twitter has since become the primary venue for Tori and me to show off our relationship. And the fans love it. So cute. We love to see it. Post more, Queen. Tori was blissfully soaking in all the well wishes from strangers on the internet. I looked at her profile, at the smile playing on her lips, and felt an overwhelming sense of peace. And so, I asked her to marry me on a beautiful autumn day.